The main character sees two smiling girls confused how a 32-year-old virgin ended up in a 10-year-old's body. One girl touches his cheek, the other strokes his head. He's lucked out. What's this mystery skill? He bets it's seasoning magic. One girl strokes his head while the other pokes his face. He's blushing and shivering, but he's loving it. Days ago, the boy wakes in a clearing, muttering about preservation. Suddenly, he bolts upright in shock. Our MC wakes up totally lost. He remembers working late, the subway home, and dinner. But now he's in a strange new world. Life flashes before his eyes as his body warps. He checks his hands and feet in disbelief, touching his face and questioning everything. Shocked by his reflection, the 32-year-old realizes he's shrunk into a kid wearing strange new clothes. It's too real to be a dream. He's stunned and has no idea what's happening. An idea hits. He reaches out to invoke his status. A status screen pops up. Tatsuya, age 10, high elf, status stable. He's stunned. It's a real-life game transfer. In his past life, he obsessed over fantasy novels now. Every story he ever read is flashing back. MC realizes it's fake and spots something new in his status. Tatsuya's 10, a high elf, and shocked to find he's only level 1. Terrified, he stops to plan, but realizes he's just too weak. Reincarnated from 32 to a 10-year-old elf, he's confused. Books say elves have pointed ears, but his are still round and he has no idea why. Level 1, 0 strength, and totally defenseless. Tatsuya expected a game-like start, but reality is way more brutal. That vulnerability line bugs him. He questions it. Then it clicks. He's a magician. Tatsuya's system window reveals the vulnerable magician title is for 30-year virgins, and he screams in shock. Stay single for 30 years and you become a magician. The legend was real. He's officially an elf mage. Young body, same mind. Tatsuya weeps with ironic joy, wiping away tears he can't believe are real. He spots a strange skill in the system window, cooking seasoning. What the hell is that? The system reveals his skill, crafting any seasoning. He can upgrade them later. But at level 1, he's stuck with just soy sauce and sugar. Our MC is baffled. He has no clue what a seasoning skill even does. His past life as a chef is flooding back, turning old memories into his new special skill. Tatsuya realizes his magic is in the spices. He thrusts his hand out, screaming for soy sauce. Soy sauce gushes from his hand. He's hyped it worked. The jet slams the tree, a direct hit. As the boy shakily orders the magic to stop. Magic's gone, leaving him wondering how much he holds. Then, Tatsuya spots the entire tree soaked in soy sauce. Soy sauce drips from his hand. Tatsuya says it's stopped. He's stunned. This skill is a housewife's dream for seasoning food. Soy sauce drips onto the ground. MC's clueless how this skill helps in battle, but laughs at the irony. At least he can make soy sauce. Annoyed, he grumbles about returning to a quiet, conflict-free life just like the last 30 years. Tatsuya whips around, coming face to face with a vicious wolf. The beast glares as he realizes it's a wolf that caught his scent. He needs to bolt, but no matter how fast he runs, the wolf will catch him. Tatsuya's skill is useless for combat, so he tries scaring the wolf with seasoning. The beast growls back. Terrified and cornered, he summons a soy sauce waterfall. He thrusts his hand forward, blasting the wolf with soy sauce. The wolf leaps, dodging the soy sauce. MC is stunned by the retreat. The wolf sniffs the liquid, confused, then glares in disgust. The beast avoids the soy sauce, making MC wonder why he figures the wolf's nose is just overwhelmed by the sharp scent. He freezes, the soy sauce reeks, and the scent could lure every monster in the forest. The wolf snarls. He knows if more show up, he's dead. He has to strike first or the wolf will. He readies another soy sauce blast, aiming straight for its face. The wolf roars and lunges. Tatsuya knows this is his chance. He demands soy sauce and dives into the lunging wolf, loving every second. A soy sauce jet slams the wolf into a tree, knocking him cold with his tongue out. The boy approaches the fallen enemy, realizing with a grin that it's finally over. Soy sauce wins the fight. Tatsuya knows he's gotta bail before more monsters arrive and says it out loud. He stops short, calling it amazing. With a flick of his hand, he swipes open his system window and stares. Jaw dropped, he finally understands the storage skill he's seen before. He reaches out, activating his storage skill to stash the wolf. The animal vanishes into a glowing white sphere, and the boy watches in shock as she hovers mid-air. The white sphere and ring vanish, replaced by a wolf icon in Tatsuya's storage. He finally gets it. He can swap items between reality and his inventory at will. Tatsuya thrusts his hand out, concentrating to summon the wolf. A wolf manifests mid-air, leaving him stunned. Tatsuya grins, glad to be just a wizard, but his smile quickly vanishes as a realization hits. Tatsuya did it! He obliterated the beast with the sauce, covering his nose. The salty stench lingers, and he hopes the rain washes it all away. Our MC treks slowly through the dense forest brush. He bursts from the bushes, eyes wide, letting out a heavy gasp. He spots a winding road stretching to the horizon and yells in shock. Our MC looks ahead, assuming a city lies in that direction. He needs a job and a bed, so he's staying in the city. He isn't worried. No one suspects a little kid. He stops dead. Stunned, MC laughs, admitting he's still thinking about work. New world, same grind. He keeps moving. He reaches a massive gate, standing before the circular founding city of Fleacher. Tatsuya nervously approaches a guard. The man demands to know his business, so Tatsuya explains he's a villager looking for work. The smiling gate guard asks his age, and a startled MC blurted out, "He's 30! The man laughs in disbelief, so Tatsuya quickly claims he's 10. Embarrassed, he plays it cool while cursing himself for almost revealing his real age. He needs to join the Adventurers Guild first. Flitzia is loaded with jobs, and the guild will find him the perfect fit. The guard points him toward the guild in the city center. The boy thanks him and heads out. He strides through Flitzia, scanning the diverse faces of the massive crowd. Tatsuya realizes these humans are built different, massive, with low-set eyes, and even the kids tower over him. He spots a sign for a shop. His special skills let him read and understand every language here. No high elves in sight. They're either rare or hated here, so he decides to hide his identity and blend in. He finally spots the massive building and grins in awe. It's the Adventurers Guild. Our hero enters the Adventurers Guild to register, nervously spotting two signs, reception and registration. Tatsuya enters the packed adventurer registration hall, spotting 3 smiling girls behind the reception desk. The first girl confirms the job and hands over a new hit list. The second points to the west gate for rare herbs, while the third just smiles. MC mumbles nervously at the desk, too scared to speak, until the third girl spots him and turns. She blushes and asks if he's lost. She's so cute, her radiance literally fills the room. Stunned by her beauty, he shields his face from her angelic glow. She's confused, but keeps smiling sweetly with her eyes shut. Tatsuya fights the distraction, leans on the desk blushing, and asks to register as an adventurer, shocking the girl. Stunned silent, the guild clerk clears her throat and prepares to address the kid. Smiling awkwardly, she explains it's the reception desk, never expecting a cute kid to be job hunting. Realizing her mistake, she asks for his name. Blushing at her beauty, he introduces himself as Tetsuya with a sweet smile. Guild admin Lynn Bell introduces herself and grabs the paperwork. He greets her back, knowing his main mission is to stay on her good side. She slides the application over, telling him to fill it out. He thanks her. Lynn grabs the form to register, and she's stunned. Does he have a storage skill? Tatsuya agrees but admits he's still learning. He asks if storage is special, and she confirms it's an ultra-rare high-capacity power. Lynn seals his card, fearing his skill stunts his magic. The girl tries to comfort him, but he's left feeling defeated. He hides his magic for now, staying silent and just agreeing with her. She hands him his guild card as Linbel explains the F2S ranks. He's not a real seeker until rank C. He thanks her and asks to start. Linbel agrees, sending him to wipe out the goblins. She thinks the job isn't urgent and asks the MC for advice. He agrees and takes the quest himself. Lynn wishes him luck and reminds him goblins are at the north gate. She sticks out her pinky, but he's completely clueless. Lynn warns him about the wolves and monsters, making him promise to return ASAP. She stares at her hand, finally realizing her goal, while he shouts in total embarrassment. He holds out his pinky, curious Tatsuya, links pinkies making a promise. The main character S confused it as their first pinky touch with a girl. He reaches the goblin-infested western fields, still blushing and staring at his finger after the girl's touch. He remembers Lynn Bell's smiling warning. This skill makes his magic weaker than everyone else's. He'll never be a warrior, stuck with only 2 skills item storage and making seasonings. Walking the path, he questions his identity. Figuring he's just a cook with elite storage depressed, he sarcastically calls it great nothing else to say. Tatsuya realizes this skill isn't for show then. A strange noise interrupts him. 2 club-wielding goblins lurk in the bushes, glaring at Tatsuya with pure rage. 2 monsters charge with clubs, but he reacts instantly, weak skills or not. He's becoming an adventurer. Tatsuya blasts 2 goblins with a stream of soy sauce magic, vowing to master the skill and crush everyone in his path. The monsters roar in shock as the MC blasts them with soy sauce. Goblins shield their faces while clutching their clubs, but it's no use. The sauce floods their mouths. Monsters gag and cry, but Tootsie One Teeth stop, shredding invisible enemies through the soy sauce flood. He realizes he just unleashed a soy sauce tsunami. He fires a soy sauce arrow. Tetsuya locks his fingers and strikes, slamming a goblin back. Tatsuya sighs and checks his storage. 10 goblins are inside. He shuts the screen. He triggers his storage skill, turning a goblin into a ringed white sphere. 10 goblins down, Tatsuya's stoked. Dusk falls. He spots the sunset and heads back to the guild. He promised Lynn Bell he'd return by sunset. Blushing, he checks his pinky, recalling their oath until something nearby catches his eye, leaving him stunned. Shocked, Tatsuya instinctively squats, narrowly dodging the wolf's mid-air pounce. Tatsuya skids low, bracing himself as he realizes in horror it's a wolf. The beast sticks the landing, and they lock eyes with pure hostility. He fires a soy sauce arrow, but the wolf leaps up to dodge the strike. The beast gapes at the soy sauce in shock. Tatsuya freezes, hand still out. Frustrated, the wolf dodged his strike. Horrified, he watches the MC form a hand seal, ready to strike with soy sauce. He fires a soy sauce arrow at the lunging wolf, and this time, he nails the shot. Tatsuya's stunned by his own power as his enemy hits the dirt, completely clueless about what just happened. Tetsuya's power surges, leaving him stunned. He thinks it's a fluke, but staring at his right hand, the shock is real. A system window flashes. Tatsuya wakes, stunned by his new look, and scans the messages. Level up, seasoning hit level 2. Unlocking pastry seasoning, he can now craft chocolate and eggs, but something's definitely off. Chocolate works as seasoning, making this a killer skill. Tatsuya's stoked to finally have something edible in his arsenal. He grunts, remembering to archive the wolf. Reaching out, he turns the corpse into a floating white sphere and stashes it in his inventory. The sun's down and light is fading. Tatsuya rushes to the guild, desperate to keep his sunset promise to Lin Bell. He hits the Adventurer S Guild, where a fuming Lin Bell immediately blasts him for being late. Tatsuya apologizes for losing track of time, blushing as he holds his hands up. She leaned in way too close, and he's losing his mind. Still fuming, she warns him it's too dangerous to head back alone in the dark and orders him to return before sunset next time. Lin leans in, demanding he agree. Tatsuya stammers a yes, blushing at her beauty. He's so close, he's dying of happiness. The counter girls watch in shock. Lin asks about the goblin horde, and he admits it was overwhelming. She warns him. Monsters must be destroyed immediately. Lin Bell grabs his hand and pulls him along. He's stunned, shouting in confusion with no clue what she wants. She hopes he's not in a rush and pulls him along. He blushes hard, noticing her hand in his. Stunned, he follows her lead without question. He's finally hit the jackpot in this world. Linbu leads him through the crowded guild backyard, heading straight for one man. She grips the MC's hand and shouts Vulga at a man, making him stop and turn in shock. Surprised, the man asks what happened as she fixes her headdress. Linbell pleads with closed eyes, saying she brought someone. Vulga can't refuse since Bell came personally. He asks who the boy is, assuming he's an adventurer, but Tatsuya introduces himself as Lin Bell, sighs in relief. Tipping his headdress, Vulga introduces himself as the man behind these monsters. Vulga's annoyed Tatsuya's empty-handed, assuming he failed the hunt. Tatsuya remembers his kill and asks for a minute. He slams the bodies onto the table, claiming that's everything. Vulga and Lin are stunned by the sight of the fallen. He realizes he can store items and spots a wolf. Vulga inspects the prey, noticing a strange liquid on the bodies. He asks about the foul liquid covering the monsters. Tatsuya nervously calls it a little experiment. He forgot to wash the soy sauce off the dead goblins before bringing them home. What an idiot! Vulga says they need a wash, grabbing a watering can from under the table holding the boy's monster kills. He presses the magic stone and water gushes from the empty can, leaving the MC stunned. Magic stones making water. Tatsuya's floored. This world is insane. He watches Vulga grab a wolf tail and scrub the bodies. Done butchering the boy's kills, the man bags the stones and fur, prepping the loot to sell nearby. Tatsuya points to the bags, asking if the leftover monster remains are just meat. Vulga dumps the useless carcasses. The boy is baffled, but nods along. Lin thanks Vulga for the help and the tour. He asks to stay in touch, and she leads the MC back to the guild. Soon, Lin Bell and Tatsuya return hand in hand too. Lin Bell was livid he returned late, but he still won't believe she's actually worried about him. He smiles and blushes, realizing she's thinking of him, until she suddenly calls his name with a sharp, serious tone. Without looking back, she asks a question, her icy tone terrifying him. Lin Bell's smile hides a lethal aura. She threatens him for ignoring her warnings and slaying 2 wolves, her raw rage catching him completely off guard. Our hero meets Lin Bell at the desk, stoked to finally bag his first ever award. She sets down a bag of 8 silver coins, his reward for the job. He beams and thanks her, but she calmly brushes it off. Her voice drops, warning him not to get cocky. She locks her brushes down and, with a terrifying grin, asks if he understands. Terrified, he obeys. Lin Bell lectures him for 30 minutes about being late, forcing him to vow it'll never happen again. Once Lin calms down, The MC remembers something terrified. He asks her a question, leaving her stunned. Blushing and fidgeting, Tatsuya admits he has nowhere to stay tonight. With nowhere to go, he asks to crash for the night, but she just glares back, annoyed. Lin Bell bolts up, screaming about the time. The boy freezes in fear as the girl snaps at his irresponsibility. A voice interrupts, demanding answers. Lin Bell and Tatsuya spin around to face her. A stunning woman appears. Lin Bell calls her Kana, explaining the kid is homeless and needs a place to crash. MC blushes at a beauty, shocking Akane. She calls it a disaster and tells Lin Bell to ask Grimace for a room. She rushes off to ask him, telling him to wait. Akeme watches her leave with a sly smile. Tatsuya. She asks if he's Tatsuya, and he stutters out a shaky yes. She leans in with a kind smile, documents still in hand. Akane says, "Don't worry, Belle's only mad because she's worried about him." She offers to help with a smile, but he's blushing hard and too distracted by her chest to hear a word. Lin arrives with Glima's okay, but stops, puzzled by a girl and a bright red boy turning around. She rushes over to shield a blushing Tatsuya, warning Akane not to corrupt the kid, but Akane just asks if it's true. They settle in, and Lin Bell lets him stay the night. The room is bare, just one bed, a chair, and a mirror. She reaches for an item, leaving him totally clueless about what she's handing over. She hands him the bread using a napkin to keep it clean, and her kindness catches him off guard. Lin Bell's hungry, blushing. Tatsuya thanks her and grabs the bread from her friend's hands. Smiling, she tells him it's late and time to rest. Lin Bell leaves, blushing as she sincerely wishes him good night. Alone in the room, he blushes. Remembering the bread, he's convinced Lin Bell is a literal angel until he spots a mirror. Bread in hand, he touches his face in shock, desperate to confirm this body is real after forgetting his adult self. He spots the bed by the window, sits down relieved, and sets his bread and napkin on his lap. He grabs the loaf and digs in, realizing that even though he's starving, this tiny kid body gets full after just a few bites. Blushing, he clasps his hands and thanks Lin for the bread. Tatsuya flops onto the bed, exhaling in relief. He never thought he'd say it, but he's actually happy he's got a job and just met a total angel. He shuts his eyes and blushes, thinking of Lin Bell. Morning sun hits Tatsuya's face, but he's still snoring away. He rubs his eyes and wakes up shocked. It's already morning, but strange shouting catches his ear. He stares out the window, hears shouting outside, and slowly creeps out of his room. He heads down the wooden stairs to the registration hall to sign up and grab a quest. Tatsuya finds a massive door and senses something happening behind it. He swings it open, staring inside in total confusion. MC peeks through the door to find a shirtless man training, swinging a massive axe. He spots Tatsuya, flashes a smug grin, and vanishes instantly, leaving the boy searching for him. A man suddenly looms over the boy, demanding to know why he opened the door. The kid is stunned. Moments later, the man and Tatsuya face off in the guild's backyard, axe slung as the man stares him down. He grins, identifying Tatsuya. The MC stutters a nervous confirmation and thanks him for the restroom. Still smiling, he introduces himself as Guildmaster Gerald, thrilled to meet the boy. Tatsuya's stunned this guy's the Guildmaster but secretly impressed Gerald. Asks about his item box, and a shocked Tatsuya confirms it. A serious man reveals he's the only one in town with this skill, and asks if he has anything to say. Gerald's words echo, he's the only one with this rare skill. To avoid a fight, the boy just nods along. Gerald asks why he is up so early, and the boy claims he heard a voice. The man asks to join the training, but the boy politely turns him down. Someone greets Tatsuya, while Gerald sulks behind him, crushed by Tatsuya's refusal to train. It's his new girlfriend. She smiles and walks over as a beaming Tatsuya greets Rockbell, and she greets him right back. She greets the guildmaster, and MC thinks Rockbell looks stunning this morning. Gerald smiles, noting Belle's early arrival and offering a joint workout, but she declines. Leaving the broken quitter behind, Rockbell and Tetsuya hold hands again. She asks if he slept well, and he credits her for the rest. Walking down a sunlit hall, someone spots them, shouts a greeting, then gasps in shock. A girl spots the pair and freezes. Seeing them holding hands, she screams, "You're holding hands with Belle?" She snaps. Recognizing the MC from yesterday, Rockbell greets Mel, who reveals the boy skipped the hotel to stay with them. She's early too. Rockbell blushes, claiming she's just curious, while Tatsuya flushes as he catches her staring. Mel gets it and asks if he registered as an adventurer yesterday. He confirms, introducing himself as Tatsuya. Striking a cute pose with her books, she blushes and introduces herself as Mel, thrilled to meet our hero. Tatsuya eyes his new crew, stunning Akane, talented big sis Rockbell, and energetic toddler Mel. He wonders, is this guild just too full of beauties? MC asks Mel if she's younger than Belle, shocked. Mel reveals she was actually Belle's mentor. Mel calls her mentor friend sweet and charming, making the girl blush in embarrassment. Rockbell's flustered by the praise, making the girl blush and apologize. The boy finds the whole thing weird. She asks if he's hunting goblins again today. He nods. Rockbell pulls something out so he never forgets, leaving Tatsuya stunned. The guild clerk hands him a map to a cheap inn with meals, worriedly urging him to get home ASAP. He hits the streets and spots the building his girlfriend mentioned. Stunned, he realizes this must be it. He faces a massive building covered in paw logos, pushes open the wooden door, and steps inside. He enters a crowded dining hall where visitors sit along a massive table while staff stand opposite. Everyone feasts as workers serve. The boys spot someone asking for water, and they all share their thanks for the meal. Tatsuya watches closely, noting the busy rush when someone suddenly asks what's wrong. A staff member greets him, wiping her hands on a branded apron with a warm smile. Tatsuya says yes and asks for a room. Shocked, the woman wonders if he's an adventurer. He agrees. She nods, that'll be 4 silver coins up front. MC drops the cash and asks for a deal. She's sold. Tatsuya shyly offers to pay for the room tomorrow, and the woman accepts. MC exits Lynn Bell's recommended facility with a grin, the woman happily tagging along. He strolls through North Market in a gorgeous city, eyeing the packed food stalls. Tatsuya's shocked. There's only one market, but it's the perfect spot to learn the local currency. He looks right and spots a counter selling fresh bread. A hopeless cry for help shatters his focus at the bakery, and he whips around, eyes wide with shock. An old man drops before the guard in defeat. The crowd gasps as a panicked father begs for help. His daughter is lost in the woods. They rushed through the forest, but an armed warrior stops them, asking if they know the wolves here hunt by scent. The knight confirms the daughter is dead. The man breaks down in tears as the boy walks away from the tragedy. He hits the city exit, silently apologizing to the old man. Too weak to speak, he feels nothing but pity. He passes the armored city guards and heads straight for the goblin hunting grounds. He blasts the goblin with soy sauce, screaming for him to take it, and the defenseless monster is finished. He summons a glowing white sphere and ring, stashes the goblin in storage, and marks his 10th kill. He snaps around, "Something's behind me!" Another goblin appears and fires a soy sauce beam, but the boy counters and kills him instantly. Tatsuya reaches out, trapping the goblin in a white sphere and warping it to storage, quipping that soy sauce is fine, but butter is better. He hears a shout about a fireball outside and snaps his head toward it. TPM's ally blasts a goblin with fire, setting it ablaze. He watches his goblin burn in silence. Disappointed, the MC realizes this guy's also an adventurer. He admires the powerful, beautiful flames as the guy grins with rage, sparking a small fireball in his left hand. Tatsuya stares at the soy sauce leaking from his hand, feeling pathetic. He shakes it off. No time for pity, he's got to focus on the grind. Tatsuya crosses a field and checks his system window. With 20 goblins in his inventory, he's killed enough and heads back. He snaps his head left, sensing something off. Massive dark trees loom ahead. This is the creepy forest. Jaw dropped in terror, he stares at the woods, remembering a girl vanished here this morning. MC turns to ditch this dump, glad he's got a meeting with bell time to head back. He senses movement and spins back toward the creepy forest. A dark silhouette lurks in the trees. What is it? Suddenly, a terrified girl in a dress bursts from the woods, gasping and sobbing. The girl screams for help, shocking Tatsuya. She rushes over, warning him about wolves, and in disbelief he asks her to confirm. A noise behind her sends the girl spinning in horror, while the MC stares back at the path she just fled. Snarling wolves surround them, and he's shocked to realize he's facing a real, bloodthirsty pack. A desperate girl cowers behind a terrified Tatsuya. He remembers his promise to Belle, but this time he's about to break it. Wolves surround the duo. Terrified, the girl trembles behind the boy, clutching her chest. Tatsuya knows they're surrounded. He calculates his path to victory as the wolves close in, snarling with fury. 5 wolves surround them, and his oil beam can't hit everyone. Using both hands leaves them exposed, so he needs a strategy fast. The girl cowers behind Tatsuya, but he stares down the wolves, certain they'll find a way out. Ready for war, he scans his skills as system windows and data flash through his mind. Desperate for a new move, he stares at his left hand. It's his only shot. Realizing he can craft items with spices, he focuses and spawns 2 eggs right in his palm. Tatsuya recognizes her. Stunned, she's asking why perplexed. She leans forward hopefully, hands pressed to her chest. He pinches his nose and orders her to do the same, leaving her baffled and clueless about his plan. He smashes the eggs, shocking the girl as rotten yolk oozes across the floor. She's too slow to plug her nose, but the second that rotten egg stench hits, she's clutching her face with teary eyes. The broken eggs reek. Pinching his nose, the boy admits this is way more stressful than he thought. He eyes the mess, secretly glad rotten eggs were the plan all along. The rotten eggs reek, nearly flooring Tatsuya. He knows sensitive wolves are doomed, and the girl next to me is already gagging from the stench. Lifeless wolves litter the clearing, completely wiped out by the rotten egg attack. Holding his nose, Tatsuya's relieved the plan worked. He's ready to finish the job, but seeing the girl instantly breaks his focus. He stares at the trembling girl, confused. Fingers still on her nose, she tearfully admits. She's reached her limit. Tears stream as her eyes shut and her hand drops. She collapses into the dirt, out cold, as he frantically asks if she's okay. Surprised by her fall, Tatsuya thinks she's just passed out. Seeing her mouth open, he figures she just needs some sleep. He spots the fallen enemies and walks up to a downed wolf. His hand trembles as he reaches out, looting the wolf's corpse into his inventory. Nothing works. Still clutching his nose, he panics as his powers fail. "Why won't?" They enter the box. He leans in, eyeing a wolf with its tongue out. A sudden twitch. It's still alive, and his stun one to hold. He spawns 3 more eggs, shoving his rotten-filled hand toward the wolf with a twisted grin. Tatsuya lifts his hand to eye his victim, grinning as he tells them they need a whiff of this scent. The wolf finally drops, face smeared with rotten egg. Claiming a perfect win, the hero turns the remains into white spheres and stashes them in his inventory. He kills another wolf, fearing Belle's wrath. He remembers her stern glare and the way she called his name, book in hand. The main character lifts the unconscious girl onto his back and says it's good. Saving a girl with a rotten egg, unbelievable. He still remembers the foul stench of those leaking, putrid yolks. Tatsuya piggybacks the girl, blushing with a grin. He jokes. It's a historic feat as they head for the city. The girl on Tatsuya's back groggily wakes up. Seeing her stir, he flashes a relieved, genuine smile. He says they were heading to the city, but she's shocked. Where are the wolves that attacked her? Katsuya sets her down, shyly scratching her cheek. Hiding his eyes with a grin, he reminds her he won, using only eggs. She wakes up confused, asking about the eggs, before her expression instantly flips. Memories flood back. Tearing up, she grimaces and covers her nose, sickened by that foul stench of rotten eggs. He asks what's wrong. Covering her nose, she squints and says it smells like rot. Tatsuya figures she hates eggs and asks if she's okay, but a voice suddenly calls out, "Elena!" A cart barrels toward them. An old man harnessed like a horse sprints up, shouting Elena's name in a panic. Tatsuya and Elena are stunned. Teary-eyed, she cries out for her father, watching the approaching cart with hope. The old man catches up in tears, throwing his arms around his daughter. Sobbing Elena, he's just relieved she's safe. The girl clings to her father, sobbing harder. Elena panics, terrified by the foul stench. Tatsuya wonders if stinky and scary are the same. The girl calms down, points him out as her savior, and her dad thanks him. Flustered, he claims he was just passing through, but the man stops him, desperate to pay him back. The boy tells the man to ignore him, but the man just pulls a basket of fresh eggs from his cart and hands them over. Embarrassed, the boy refuses and apologizes, insisting he needs nothing. The father finally relents, accepting his daughter as Savior One to take a reward. Elena stares at the eggs, eyes wide, trembling with tears. She plugs her nose and screams about the rotten stench, leaving her father totally confused. Stunned, he insists the eggs are fresh while his daughter plugs her nose and sobs. Tatsuya stares at the painting in shock. The egg was clearly scarier than the wolves. He gives an awkward wave, says he's glad to help, and heads out. He heads for the city, but the girl screams, "Big brother!" Tatsuya freezes and spins around in shock. She rushes over and hugs him tight. Blushing through tears, she thanks him for the save. He blushes and smiles back as the cart fades into the horizon. The girl waves goodbye, and he waves back with his left hand. Night falls, and Tatsuya hits the guild, shocked to spot a familiar face before glancing at his girlfriend. Lin Bell waits at the stairs, arms crossed with a wicked grin. He stares back in pure terror. He panics, Bell's already fuming. Tatsuya claims he's just a bit late, but Lin Bell snaps at his excuses, forcing a sheepish apology. She sighs and orders him to follow. He doesn't dare refuse. Hand in hand, the pair crosses the corridor to the guild's backyard, where Fulgen spots them from a distance. A smiling man notes Tatsuya's lateness. Tatsuya agrees and asks to open his inventory. He thrusts his right hand out, revealing his vault. 5 dead wolves hit the table, leaving Lin Bell stunned and furious. The boy watches her reaction, panicking internally as he waits for her move. Lin Bell is stunned. Recalling her rage against the wolves, she masks her fury with a fake smile and calls out to Tatsuya. She demands answers with a lethal edge as the MC trembles, raising his hands to calm her down. Volga cuts in from behind, slapping the guy with an E rating as the duo spins around in total shock. Lin Bell shouts in disbelief, Tatsuya S getting an E rank, even the MC is stunned by the news. She reminds him, he's a day 1 rookie. The hero is stunned. Borges stares at the corpses, telling her to look closer at the fallen enemies. He spots marks but 0 scratches. Looking at the carcasses, he notes 5 wolves usually form a pack. He tells her he can solo them all. Borga declares he's ready for E rank, leaving Lin Bell stunned. MC credits everything to his idol Mr. Borg, staring with pleading admiration while Lin Bell grunts in disgust. She sighs, looks at the man, and reluctantly trusts Borga's word. Borgo grabs Tatsuya's shoulder, stopping him cold. Tatsuya's stunned. What more could he want? A smiling man claps the boy Essie's shoulder, warning him not to anger Bella by being late again. He whispers to keep it down, while Belle scowls nearby. Soon, the MC and Lin Bell reach registration. She hits the desk while he waits for her move. Lin hands over the cash, expressionless. Her dark aura warns Tatsuya that while she accepts the choice, she's still fuming. He was late. Clutching the cash, he knows she's still pissed, but he's certain saving that girl was the right call. He knew if he told her, she'd just cradle his head and forgive him for giving it his all. He blushes, clenches his fist, and turns to Belle, ready to act. She's stunned, but he's just keeping his promise to be home early. Tatsuya swears he only planned to hunt goblins, but he had to save a girl from a wolf pack along the way. He swears he can leave her and drops to his knees, though he was really just dragged into this. The receptionist's jaw hits the floor. She sits beside him and calls his name. Now a kid adventurer, he grins, imagining her pampering him as much as she wants. A terrifying girl demands the F-ranker who fought 5 wolves, leaving the guy paralyzed with fear. She skips the praise and lectures him hard while Tatsuya sits silently on his lap. He steps out of the guild and sighs in relief, checking his card. He endures an hour-long lecture just to have Belle all to himself. But Tatsuya screams in pain as his legs go numb from kneeling. Tatsuya grips his new E-rank card, staring in awe. It's official, he's finally an adventurer, and he beams with pride over his new rank. He hits the hotel for lunch, veggie pea soup and a baguette. He eyes the meal and digs in. He takes a bite and is stunned. It's incredible. The flavor melts into his exhausted body, and before he knows it, the plate is clean and he's left satisfied. His room is ready. MC collapses onto the bed, exhausted, glad he followed the recommendation. Another brutal day, memories of fighting wolves flash by as he stares at his new E-rank promotion card. Tatsuya smiles, recalling Belle's first ever outburst. Her face flashes in his mind, making him blush as he vows to repay her constant kindness. 1 week later at the guild, our hero greets Mel and Lin Bell as they arrive smiling, loaded with books, a box, and a scroll. They greet him back. A smiling girl notes he's the first to arrive, and Tatsuya grins. He's finally adjusting to this new world. Tatsuya hits the guild early to check in with Lin, but there's no work. His kid body just can't handle deliveries. He spends his days grinding goblins in that clearing. He smiles, says goodbye, and heads out to hunt as Belle warns him to stay safe. Grinding his usual goblin field, he finally unlocks his status. Since starting his journey, Tatsuya's seasoning and recipes have leveled up. System windows pop up, revealing his title, the Sad Magician. He ponders. Hand-to-mouth miso and cream are a struggle in battle. Soy sauce is his specialty. It's just easier. Checking his stash, he's got 10 bread, 6 goblins, and 8 gold coins, roughly 80,000 yen. Starving, he sits on a rock and uses his skill to cook chocolate for dinner right in his hand. Tatsuya's ready to feast. He slathers his homemade chocolate onto the bread, instantly creating chocolate bread. No pastries in this world, he crafts his own. He devours the pure sugar, loving every bite. He keeps eating, realizing he needs to buy dishes and learn to cook. Sandwich finished and finally full, he stands up to get back to goblin hunting. He feels the shaking and assumes it's an earthquake, but quickly realizes he's wrong. He whips around, panicked, hearing footsteps. Tatsuya hears footsteps and spots a massive, furious orc. He's stunned. The beast is packing a shoulder-mounted gun. Why's an orc here? They're supposed to be north, so he stayed west. He remembers the crossed-out orc sign. Tatsuya bolts, but the monster stays right on his heels. He notices the tight grip and realizes he's closing the gap. Tatsuya stops nowhere left to run. It's time to fight. The orc stops, staring him down. He knows one hit ends it, so he's gotta strike first. He forms a soy sauce sphere and fires a liquid arrow at his enemy. Direct hit, but the orc doesn't flinch. He's completely ignored. The soy sauce arrow fails. Panicked, he spawns rotten eggs in his right hand to strike. A whistle blows and a rotten egg flies at the orc. He swats it, splattering yolk everywhere, and now he's furious. Another egg nails him instantly, shattering across his face. The orc gapes in pain from the stone and lets out a heavy sigh. Furious at the kid, the orc squares up and roars, mouth wide. Rotten egg slime coats him, but the beast just laughs. The monster's eyes snap open, face twisted in pure rage. The boy stares back in terror, desperate for a way out. Tatsuya's hands tremble. He has to strike now or the orc will crush him. Terrified, he stares at the beast, desperate for a plan. A massive orc towers over Tatsuya, freezing him in terror. Enraged by the egg-throwing stunt, the beast readies its next strike. Soy sauce and rotten eggs failed. Tatsuya needed a massive power-up. He scans his profile for an edge and finds his salvation one final, unused trump card. The orchard gapes open, lunging to finish its enemy. Tatsuya raises his hand, unleashing a dark stream and shouting for him to taste his hot habanero sauce. The orc stood dazed, mouth wide open as hot sauce flooded in, still having no clue what just happened. The orc screams as fire erupts from its mouth. Tatsuya keeps his hand aimed, realizing he's stronger than the beast expected. He warns the monster there's more, and the monster's jaw unhinges, spewing fire and screaming to purge the hot sauce as sweat and fluids drench its face. He crashed to his knees, still desperately scrubbing the spice away. Gaping from the sharp strike, the orc clings to life before finally hitting the dirt, axe still in hand, as the guy watches him fall. Gasping for air after the brutal fight, Tatsuya's stunned to see his opponent has already collapsed. Paralyzed and weeping over habanero sauce, the orc didn't flinch when Tatsuya shoved a stick in its mouth. The beast was finally broken. Tatsuya seals the orc in his magic box. Tatsuya starts shaking again. Remembering the monster's massive scale, he lets out a nervous laugh and collapses to his knees, still trembling. Battered from battle, Tatsu heads to Lin Bell's guild. Sitting at her book, the girl's shocked to see Tatsuya arrive way earlier than usual. The boy trembled, eyes downcast in guilt, leaving Lin Bell baffled by his sudden misery. She catches on and tells him to wait. Lin Bell sits on a bed with a young man, hyped and sensing something big just happened. The boy shook and bowed, stammering an excuse, but Lin Bell just reached out and gently stroked his head. She pulls him into a sisterly hug, catching him completely off guard. Lin Bell tells him to rest. Flustered and blushing, Tatsuya stammers a thank you for her support. Leaving the guild, Lin Bell and Tatsuya head down a shaded path toward the bag carrier, catching a stunned Volga completely off guard. He greets them with a grin, fixing his cap as he spots Lin Bell holding Tatsuya's hand, making the guy look away in embarrassment. Ashes, his power, instantly dropping the orc dead. Wait, the guy might be important. He unleashes his power, instantly dropping the orc his ally was. The duo stared at the beast, then at Tatsuya, totally lost. Flustered by their shock, a blushing Tatsuya asked to carve up the monster. The butcher needed time for the complex order, so the boys walked back in total silence. Tatsuya shakes off his embarrassment, breaks the silence, and spills everything about his day. He tells her everything, finishing deep into the night under the stars. Lin Bell listens calmly before pulling him into a supportive hug. Tatsuya freezes, blushing hard as she presses him against her chest. Lin Bell breaks down in tears, telling the young man she's just glad he's back. Lin Bell praises his progress, leaving Tatsuya jaw-dropped and blushing before they share a long, silent hug. The long night breaks as morning sun floods the windows, waking everyone up. Tatsuya hides under his covers, refusing to leave town. He's got business to handle. Suddenly, it hits him. Tatsuya heads downstairs, shocking the woman cooking with his early start. They trade greetings and she beams at him. He spotted the oven and asked the hostess to use it once she was free. Surprised and curious, the hostess watched Tatsuya summon an object behind his back as he agreed to reveal his plan. Today, he's baking sweets to show his gratitude. Oven secured, he starts baking immediately, grabbing the flour and butter he already prepped. He triggered the skill and started making sweets. Tatsuya was hyped. Chocolate finally in hand. Finally, time to cook with natural skills. Cookie scents flood the city, and everyone's hunting for the source. Tatsuya's sweets hooked the city as they traced the scent. The butcher and hostess watched in confusion, but he caught them spying. Fresh cookies smell incredible. He flours the next batch, and I slide them into the oven. Tatsuya's stoked with the perfect cookies. With the box full of snowball cookies, Tatsuya snaps the lid shut. Perfectly round chocolate chip cookies. He just had to please Lin Bell. But suddenly, something catches his eye. The butcher shop hostess was staring him down, and he was baffled. He thanks them for the oven and offers a taste since he made way too much. The hostess and butcher beam at the gift, realizing they're sweets that smell incredible. He calls them top-tier sweets and wonders how they remade. A couple takes a bite, their faces instantly lighting up with pure delight. The hostess is stunned. This rich flavor beats a royal feast. The butcher eagerly asks to buy, but a surprised Tatsuya confidently refuses. His cooking is a hit, and he's thrilled. But sugar is rare here, making these sweets a luxury the hostess is desperate to replicate. Tatsuya considers the butcher's cookie offer, but he can't reveal his secret ingredient skill. Made sugar, that's a trade secret. Time to act. He sprinted toward the guild, cookies in hand, pushing his speed to reach Lin Bell. A girl reads alone, smiling at her book, until something catches her off guard. She freezes, turning to stare intensely at Suya. He's drenched and gasping, confusing her, but he flashes a grin to play it cool and thanks her. Lin Bell calls it great. She grabs his hand, catching him off guard. They were worried sick. She tells him not to push it and to call for help if he needs it. Face flushed with joy, the boy calls Lin Bell a total angel. Lin Bell asks to sell yesterday's loot, and Tatsuya agrees instantly. Checking the paper, she reveals the total payout. He walks out with 30 coins. He never expected such a massive payout for this monster, leaving him completely stunned. Orcs are D-class, and the payout is massive. He trembles, clutching the bag he used to slave for 8 coins a week, but now he's holding a fortune. He's not here for that. He's here to say thanks. Tatsuya turns to her. She smiles and waits, but he just blushes harder. He tells her to wait, grabs her hand, and turns away. She smiles, confused, but he's panicking. In 32 years. He's never given a girl a boom. He hesitates. Are homemade sweets too much? He takes a deep breath, calms his nerves, and locks in. Blushing, the guy hands Lin Bell a gift to thank her for her kindness, making her face turn red. Embarrassed but grateful, Tatsuya gripped the box and insisted Lin Bell accept his gift. popping the lid to reveal a pile of round chocolate biscuits. He offers her cookies, then stands there awkwardly clutching the box in confusion. Lin Bell stared, jaw dropped, unable to process his move. She screams, turning every head. Lin Bell beams, realizing Tatsuya baked the cookie himself. Tatsuya turns beet red, mortified by his loud outburst, while she timidly apologizes for the scene. Embarrassed, he thinks she hates sweets, but Lin Bell smiles and denies it. She actually loves cookies. Cookies are a rare, pricey luxury, and receiving them for the first time leaves her flustered, but thrilled. She stared at the cookies in awe. Sugar must be a rare luxury here. The girl points out the dark spots in confusion, but Tatsuya proudly brags it's just delicious chocolate. The girl leaned in, sniffing the liver. She calls his scent delicious, leaving him totally flustered. Awkward. He wanted to bolt, but Lin Bell was hooked. Tatsuya's response: "It's a secret." Blushing, he admits he made way too many and she's stuck eating them, his hands fidgeting with pure anxiety. Mortified, he yells he's already gone. Lin Bell screams for him to wait, and Tatsuya turns back. Lin Bell beamed, clutching the handmade cookies and thanking him for a gift she promised to treasure. Tatsuya bolts from the guild, mortified after giving a girl his first gift. He huddles on the street, confusing passers-by as his face turns bright red. Proud he pleased her, he vows to cook more. Under the midnight stars, Lin Bell finishes writing, sighs, and stretches her tired back. Moonlight flooded the guild window. Lin Bell saw how late it was and headed for bed. On the guild's second floor, Lin Bell clutches her stomach, already starving and hunting for her next meal. Lin Bell peeks into the guild room and freezes. On the table sits the same round gift box Tatsuya gave her this morning. The same cookie-shy little Tatsuya gave her. Lin nervously opens the box at the table, her face beaming with excitement for the food. Maru slams into Lin Bell from behind, grabbing her and screaming her name. Lin Bell spins around, shocked by Maru's return. She claims she just arrived, but Maru spots a gift box from Tatsuya. Mara remembered Maru hearing Lin mention cookies and dismissed it as a joke. But Lin's silence caught her off guard. She opens the box, and Lin Bell was right. It's Tatsuya's cookies. Maru's confused. Why give her such an expensive gift? Lin Bell handmade the gift, leaving Mara stunned. She eyes the box, questioning the motive behind such an expensive gesture. Even basic cookies are rare. Ingredients cost a fortune, and one mistake ruins your wallet. Most people wouldn't dream of baking them. How do you bake so many perfect cookies? Maru turns to Lin with a suggestion. She asks if Tatsuya is the pastry chef's kid, but Lin Bell shuts it down, doubting he's even an adventurer. Suddenly, the door bursts open. A cute girl in a cap enters, grinning with flowers and wishing the girls a good evening. Akane arrives to praise Maru's work. Lin Bell greets her, admiring the beautiful bouquet in her hands. Akane shows off her adventurer's bouquet, spots Lin Bell, then zeroes in on a box on the table. She noticed Lin Bell's gift and praised the beautiful box Lin Bell revealed. The ribboned gift was from Tatsuya. She laughed, saying it's just like Tatsuya already falling for Lin Bell. Inako wondered what she got from him. Maru and Lin Bell traded awkward, silent glances. They popped the lid, revealing Lin Bell's gift from the boy, hundreds of tiny cookies right in front of Akane. She spots the cookie and realizes he's totally in love with her. Lin Bell thanks her, telling her to share the treats with the girls. Akane insists it's too much and wonders where he even found them. Lin Bell claims he baked the cookies solo, but a furious Akane refuses to believe it's possible. Lin Bell stared sadly at the cookies, refusing to believe Tatsuya was a liar. Maru backs her friend, certain Tatsuya's legit. She recalls his amazing scent, but the mystery remains. Cookies sit tempting them on the table. but the girls just stare in silence, waiting for someone to move first. Suddenly, Linville's stomach growls. She blushes as the group stares silently at Lin and the cookies. Her stomach growls, and a cane pulls her hand to her mouth. She snatches a cookie, shocking the girls, and suggests they eat up to prove they're actually homemade. She's certain they have to eat them. Late at night, the girls stare Tatsuya down, clutching his cookie balls before finally digging in. They toss cookies into each other's mouths, faces instantly lighting up with pure chocolatey bliss. The girls are loving the food, and Maru licks chocolate from her lips with a grin. Lin Bell called it the best meal of her 19 years, and the flavor still lingered in my mouth. Maru's finally tasting real happiness, her eyes burning with joy as she devours the cookies. Ainakane loved the food, finally relaxing after work as she slumped back in her chair. Silky soft with a satisfying crunch, these cookies burst with rich sweetness. Akon asks about the black pieces, but Lin Bell says it's chocolate. Akani's never heard of the ingredient, but the bittersweet flavor is incredible. Maru's asking Tatsuya for the source later. The girls dive back in for more cookies. They shoved more cookies in, paralyzed by the overwhelming blissful flavor. They couldn't stop devouring those cookies. They shoved more cookies in, savoring the bittersweet taste as they crunched away with gusto. The girls call Maru unfair for taking two, but she argues one per cheek is fair so everyone gets double now. Akane insists on one at a time, but Maru calls her out for already eating two. She claims the cracked cookie counts as one, but Maru and Lin Bell call her out in unison. Maru catches Lin Bell double-stuffing cookies and calls it totally unfair. She loves Tatsuya most, so it doesn't count. After their spat, the girls gorged on cookies in a competitive frenzy, their chewing echoing outside the guild until the box was empty. The girls raved about the food, wishing they could eat like this daily, but Lin Bell just watched them in silence. Lin Bell was devastated. Her special chocolate chip cookies were completely gone. Maru plans to thank Tatsuya tomorrow, and Akane's on board. Tatsuya's cookies are so good. Lin Bell vows to protect him even more. She heads to bed early as the girls wish her a good night. Lin Bell walked under the nightlights, an empty cookie box in her bag, savoring the taste as she rubbed her chin. Cookies are a pricey luxury, and she's shocked they made them just for her. She figures Tatsuya must love to cook. She had to tell him it was delicious. As Tatsuya's biggest fan, Lin Bell was already dreaming of giving him her review. Dawn breaks as the sun peeks over the horizon. The wolf tenses, locked on his target. He holds his stance as the girl blurs forward, moving so fast she's nothing but a trail of dust. The wolf bared its fangs, waiting for the perfect opening to strike. Before he can react, a girl strikes. The wolf is slammed down instantly, his menacing power replaced by total helplessness. Her strike leaves him trembling and howling, foam spilling from his mouth. As the dust clears, she catches her breath after an easy victory. Finally, she's hungry. This blonde has twin tails with bows, animal ears, and armored gauntlets. Back at the guild, Tatsuya had been waiting since morning when Maru suddenly calls out and sprints toward him. She rushes up and grabs his hands, catching him completely off guard. She loved the cookies, feeling pure joy for the first time as she thanked him. Embarrassed, he denies being grateful, face flushing as his heart races until a voice calls out from behind him again. Mrs. McCain covered her mouth, praising the delicious cookies, while Tatsuya beamed, glad they liked them so much. She pulls him into a tight hug, leaving him flustered and breaking out in a cold sweat. Akane thanks him as he struggles to escape her tight hug. He's confused by their reaction. He just gave them cookies. Now his heart's redlining and he's about to pass out. Akane remembers Bell's order to wipe out the wolves, but Tatsuya mistakes the name for Lin Bell. She feared his weak E rank and age, but Volga pushed her, trusting Tatsuya to handle it. He figured slaying the wolves would earn Lin Bell's forgiveness. But where was she now? He rushed back to the road where they just hugged. They met with big smiles. They rush together as Lin Bell raves about the addictive cookies. And I thank him. Lin Bell clings to him, her warm breath sending his heart into overdrive as he realizes even she loves his cookies. Tatsuya's about to black out, but he refuses to collapse in the dirt in front of his crush. Bright red and speechless, Tatsuya turns his attention to Linbyu. He claimed she authorized the wolf call Lin Bell realized a cane told him. Lin Bell's still worried. He just obliterated an entire orc, after all. After talking to Volga, they gave him one shot to handle the wolves. Lin Bell's certain he can still beat them. Lin Bell made Tim promise not to overdo it. He agreed. Tatsuya knew Lin Bell always looked out for him. He suddenly turned back. He needed one more answer. He baked another batch this morning for everyone to share. Lin Bell is stunned. It was him again. Lin Bell tries apologizing for yesterday, but Tatsuya already bolted. He shouted he'd slay the wolves immediately, while Lin Bell fought the urge to devour those delicious cookies. The boys already at the north gate. Tatsuya spotted a crowd of adventurers swarming the gate. Monsters swarm the highway past the north gate, making it a prime hunting ground for adventurers. Tatsuya hits a lonely path and dives into the forest, met by massive trees and thick brush. He drifted off the path, eyes locked on the rustling bushes. Was it the wind or a beast? Wolves howl from the brush, challenging Tatsuya to a fight. He's only been in the forest for 3 minutes. That was enough. Tatsuya started shaking, cold sweat pouring down his face in pure terror. Invisible monsters and sudden attacks terrified him, so he stashed the rotten eggs to keep them from breaking. Entering the forest, he notices something still clutching rotten eggs to fight off wolves or monsters. Spotting enemies alone was a nightmare, and in a place like this, he needed a squad to survive. Tatsuya was destined to be a loner, doomed to fight without a squad. She wondered if any group would accept him. His style is bizarre, blasting black sludge and rotten eggs from his hands. He'd love to find a group like that, especially if it's full of beautiful girls. He memorized the idea for Lin Bell, but a screeching bird suddenly grabbed his attention. Tatsuya spots something charging him from the far forest. The ground shakes. He knows it's orcs. Too narrow, he falls back for a better vantage point. He spun around to confirm the orcs, stunned to find only 2. Orcs swarmed Tatsuya like hungry wolves, their roars rattling the forest. Heart pounding, Tatsuya sprints through narrow paths, fighting to stay on track. Orc footsteps thundered closer. Paralyzed by fear, he watched them lunge with reaching arms. Once the orcs spot you, escape is impossible. Tatsuya froze, heart pounding, and mentally apologized to Lindell. He couldn't keep his promise. He was powerless against these monsters. He summoned rotten eggs into his hand. They saw Tatsuya as a snack, but he's about to ruin their appetite. He's about to crush them in seconds. Suddenly, rotten eggs pelt the orcs. Dozens of eggs are already warming up the orcs. He'll scatter them before they can react, and the smell of these eggs will drive them into a rage. The orcs froze in shock and disgust. Tatsuya covered his nose. Stunned, they weren't furious. Smeared in rotten eggs, the orcs let out hoarse, soul-crushing sobs, looking utterly broken. Tatsuya doesn't get it and suggests it's depression. The eggs broke their spirits. Time for his next weapon. The orcs are fuming. Tatsuya used habanero sauce to cheer them up. Drenched in hot sauce, the orcs spit fire and burst into tears. Sweating and sobbing, the orcs writhe as hot sauce pelts them, their massive muscles twisting in pure disgust. Tatsuya smirked, slinging sauce in every direction and feeling totally invincible. Orcs clung to life, gasping for their final breaths. Instantly, they all collapsed. Tatsuya closes in, knowing he can drop 2 orcs solo. The agile kid fixes his hair and shouts, "It's over!" He's getting stronger after wrecking 2 orcs, but he can't explain it to Lin Bell. Behind him, the wolf slayer shouts, still calling him a total freak. He couldn't identify the intruder and feared he'd been spotted. A stunning girl emerges from the trees, instantly hooking Tatsuya. He stares, completely forgetting the orcs he just slaughtered. She called him weird, her voice sweet yet mocking. Tatsuya was confused, but he was already hooked on the mystery girl who just crashed into his life. She called him weird again, mocking him without any real malice. The name embarrassed Tatsuya, but he had no clue why. He doesn't know her, but she's cute. She calls him a weirdo, but he's distracted by her massive chest. She claims she saw him. She called his fighting style strange. Tatsuya realized she saw him destroy them with spices. He knew his fighting style was unmistakable. Hearing it out loud stung. She was analyzing the weird liquid or egg he was producing, desperate to identify it. She didn't appreciate his skill. Embarrassed, he claimed he just happened to have them on him, but she wasn't buying it. "Time to handle the orcs!" He packs his gear, making her think he's got a magic bag. He claims it's just a box of junk, but she sees the truth. It's a rare skill. Tatsuya has no clue what a magic bag is, leaving the girl in total shock. She explains her waste bag is a magic storage unit, but time doesn't stop inside. He gauged his capacity. She estimated it at 2 average orcs. The bag was smaller than the box, but Tatsuya knew it was otherworldly. Her stomach growled. She clutched her growling stomach, trying to muffle the noise, but her hunger was plain to see. They lock eyes. She gets in close, waiting for Tatsuya to make a move. She's literally fading away from hunger. She catches a sweet scent, but he thinks she's just begging for food. After saving a family from demons yesterday, she gave them everything because they looked hungry. We offered her his extra cookies, and she accepted instantly. He gives her a taste, and her eyes widen in shock. She sniffed the gift warily. Tatsuya realized she'd never seen them before. To prove they're edible, he wolfs the cookies down right in front of her. He bites in to prove the crunch, and seeing his joy, she's instantly charmed. Tempted. I went for it. 1 bite and she's hooked. He asks what she thinks, but her hand suddenly snaps toward him. Her eyes sparkle from the delicious cookies as she reaches out for more. He happily agreed, handing her more cookies. She's devouring those cookies with a grin. 2 in each hand. She's already demanding more. Later, she sits on the grass and he joins her side. She loved it and she's stuffed. She locks eyes with him and he stares back, stunned. She thanks him for the cookies and reveals she's a B-rank adventurer named Suzu. Stunned by her B-rank power, he introduces himself as an E-rank adventurer. Still curious, she crawled close to inspect him like a new animal, leaving Tatsuya totally baffled. Suzu thinks Tatsuya's weird and starts tailing him, but he's got no clue why. She was headed somewhere, pointing the way. She's heading for Frieza, so they team up. Sunlight floods the forest as Tatsuya and Suzu walk the path in silence. He sets out to uncover why she's really in Frisia. Frisia is her home, but she hasn't been back from the capital in years. He realized this was her hometown, and Suzu looked strangely familiar. He couldn't place her, but he'd definitely seen that face before. Confused by his gaze, she tries reading his mind. Tatsuya blushes and plays it off, but then her hair twitches like ears. She turned around silently, then claimed something was there. They spot an orc strolling calmly across the deserted road. He missed the distant orc, baffled by how she spotted it. Suzu's secret pure intuition. She says she'll handle it, eyes gleaming with a strange light. Tatsuya freezes, certain she's about to end him. He's completely powerless. She dropped low with cat-like grace and vanished into the dark, leaving Tatsuya shouting they were still miles away. They need to bail before they respotted, but the girl S already bolted, leaving him stunned. She blurs at breakneck speed, trailing wind pulses and dust rings that look like a solid pipe. Suzu drops to all fours, blurring toward the Orclicachita with lethal grace. Suzu closes the gap instantly, catching the orc off guard. She shows zero fear, only pure, unrestrained rage that leaves the monster rattled. Light flashes, and a girl appears. The orc swings his bat, but she's already leaped back. She landed perfectly, her blinding speed leaving the orc frozen in shock. The orc chases, but she nails him in the face. He's left coughing and tries to counter, but she's way too fast. Tatsuya's stunned as she lashes out with a massive leg sweep. She swings her fist. Her strike crushed his gut, folding him double and sending him flying. York's nauseous, sweat and drool pouring as he gasps for air, tongue out, desperate for oxygen. He drops dead. Tatsuya rushes over, stunned. She's already finished the job. He's stunned by Suzu's power. Taking down an orc with raw strength is nearly impossible. He praises her B-rank skills, but her silence puzzles Tetsuya. Regardless, he's just hyped for her new power. Suzy turns back, blushing hard as she insists she's not that cool. Tatsuya blushed, finding her embarrassment sweet. She pointed at the orc, demanding its removal, and he instantly agreed. He points and the work instantly vanishes. She thanks him and heads out, but he's haunted by the feeling they're in the same group. Tatsuya hits up Suzu, betting she wants to form a group. Ignoring his question, her stomach growls as she asks for more cookies. Tatsuya avoids her gaze with an awkward smile, sheepishly wondering what's next. She says she's tired, and he wonders why he craves seeing her so defenseless. Suzu leans over the table, giving Tatsuya an eyeful. He snaps his head away, face turning beet red as he wonders how this even happened. Hours ago, Tatsuya and Suzu stood outside a massive building. He pauses, turns back, and asks if she's really following him to the guild. She says yes. Tatsuya eyed the bewildered Suzu, imagining the guild's reaction. Lin Bell would lose it, demanding to know their relationship. He wants her to see him as a man, not just a brother. Suzu snaps him out of his thoughts, asking what he's doing and telling him to come in. Confused, Tatsuya shouts after the girl as she slips into the guild. Tatsuya and Suzu find the girl, but Tatsuya freezes. It's Lin Bell, clutching papers and looking just as confused. Panicked, they slammed into each other. He tried explaining the girl to Lin Bell, but got cut off mid-sentence. Lin Bell questions why they're together, leaving a confused Tatsuya asking what she means. Confused by the address, he watches Suzu claim they met by pure chance. Suzu tells her sister she's home, leaving the boy in total shock. Shocked she called Lin Bell sister, they shared a tense silence across the counter. Tatsuya asks if the girl is her sister. Suzu silently nods. Lin Bell cuts in, explaining Suzu returns from King's Landing in 2 years. Tatsuya just grins, still stunned by the girl's resistance. Lin Bell was his first friend in this world, but he never suspected Suzu was her sister. Then, it clicked. Tatsuya cheered at his fate, but Suzu told Lin Bell the guy was a total weirdo. Suzu calls the cookies delicious, prompting Lin Bell to ask if she's tried Suya's homemade batch too. Suzu's shocked are these handmade. Tetsuya awkwardly admits it. She calls him a freak, forcing Lin Bell to apologize. Lin praises Tatsuya's sweets and asks if he can cook real food, but he smells a trap. He tells her he can cook for himself, so Lin Bell asks what he's making. Tatsuya says he's making steaks and omelets, instantly blowing the girls away. Lin Bell demands steak, shocking the guy. Suzu asks to cook the fresh orc meat, and Tatsuya agrees if he has a kitchen. The girls reached out, cheering that the kitchen was all his. Realizing they love steak, he asks the girls what they were making him. The sisters surprise everyone with steak. Suzu and Lin Bell cheer wildly, and Tatsuya finds their joy adorable. Could they finally return to the girls? Tatsuya saw a miracle, until a voice called out. Lindell grins menacingly, asking what they meant by the orc they just beat. Tatsuya panics, thinking they're caught, and Lin Bell notices. He mumbles, but Suzu repeats the words he used on the orcs, leaving Tatsuya shouting her name in confusion. Lin Bell barked his name, making him cower and ask what happened. She repeated her warning. The boy gets scolded right in front of Suzu. She locks the door, feeling safe. Suzu asks if she's done, Lin Bell confirms, and they head home. Soon, they arrive at a massive house. Suzu tells the guy they're heading over, while Lin Bell warns the old house might be a bit rough. At 32 years old, Tatsuya's finally visiting a girl's house for the first time. He pictured Suzu showing him the bathroom while Lin Bell changed, wondering if his dream would come true. The girls call him inside, breaking his focus. He awkwardly agrees. They head inside. He apologizes, convinced he's stumbled into a house of two angels. She called it an old house, but looking around, the place is spotless. Lin Bell tells Suzu she never wears clothes. Tetsuya overhears and smiles. He knew she was a good woman. Lin Bell points the boy to the living room, telling him to wait while she gets dressed. Tatsuya smirks, picturing Lin Bell dressing, but stops dead as he enters the living room. He spots a girl in a skimpy outfit, showing off plenty of skin. Suzu sits at the table, reaching for something. Her revealing outfit has him walking blind. He asks to sit, and she says yes. Tatsuya noted the massive room as he and Suzu sat in awkward silence. Lin Bell suddenly arrived, apologizing for the wait. Tetsuya eyes the girl's dress but prefers Lin Bell's casual home look. Realizing his eyes had more potential, Tatsuya claimed the kitchen, and Lin Bell gladly agreed. He scanned the kitchen and saw she was fully loaded with gear. He checks his skills and finds new unlocks: ketchup, mayo, instant coffee, and fragrant coffee sweets. She calls out, and he taps the window to answer. Lin hits the kitchen offering veggies hidden under the table, and the boy asks about them. He checked the spot and found the vegetables. The box was loaded with carrots, potatoes, and onions, way too much for just one person. Katsuya grabs the vegetable, ready to cook it with this seasoning. He grabs the pot, determined to use it all and please both girls. He gets the unpeeled potatoes boiling and starts dicing onions and carrots. Tatsuya sautés the veggies, making sure the carrots are soft. He peels and purees the potatoes, mixing in the cooked veggies. He uses his skill to drench the veggies in fresh mayo, salt and pepper to taste. Tatsuya finishes the potato salad and stashes the bowl in the fridge. Time for the main course orc meat. He pulls out a massive fresh slab. Tatsuya carves thick orc steaks, seasoning them with salt and pepper. He fries the meat on medium-low under an inverted lid, then kills the heat and serves it up. Finally, Tatsuya skillfully heats the perfect sauce in a pan and douses the steaks. He seared a thick orc steak and served the girls, thanking them for waiting. He serves a feast of orc steaks and sides. Stunned, Suzu and Lin Bell ask if they can really eat this. He gives the green light. Suzu asks about the side. Tatsuya says it's potato salad, and Lin Bell calls it delicious as they dig in. The girls are hyped. Suzu grabs the gear as Lin Bell tells her to dig in. Suzu cheers, stabbing a thick orc steak and snatching it up. She tears into the meat, eyes sparkling as she devours every bite. The other girl slices the meat, forks a piece, and starts chewing. Suzu's stunned by the juicy steak while the girls cheer, and Lin Bell even tears up as the rich orc meat fills her mouth. Glad they like it, Tatsuya tells the girls to try the potato salad, filling their bowls to the brim. Suzu loads her spoon and eyes him. The sisters share a nod and dig in together. One taste of the boy's potato salad, and they remumbling in the light. Lin doubts it's even a salad. It's soft, flaky, sweet, and tart, but she adapts with every bite. Mouth stuffed, Susu mumbles how delicious it is and can't stop eating. Stunned by her reaction, Tatsuya tells her there's plenty more to eat. The girls devour his food with insane passion, making all that cooking worth it. Tatsuya realizes girls are peak cute when they eat. Suzu speaks through a mouthful of food. They listen in silence as she calls her sister. Susu calls the boy strange and decides to team up. Lin and Tatsuya froze in shock. They couldn't believe Susu was actually talking about the band. Night falls. Suzu calls out, and the guy instantly freezes in terror. He'll explain how he ended up in this mess if you're curious. She tells him to hurry or she's leaving him behind. The answer was simple. Teetering over a deadly drop, he's paralyzed with fear until she tells him to just run across. Hours ago, they were still in the city. Lin Bell asks the guys their band name. Susu says no name needed for a temporary group, she just wants to watch over him. Shocked, Tatsuya asks why she's tailing him. Suzu calls him suspicious. His fighting style is bizarre, and his cooking is way too good. Lin Bell smiled at the thought and spoke. Tatsuya isn't a bad guy. He slays orcs, has his quirks, and makes sweets so good her cheeks practically melted. Surprised, she checks Lin Bell's cheeks, but she's fine. Tatsuya spots his chance to get closer to Suzu. He wants to team up so I can be their private transport chef and finish the mission immediately. Tatsuya imagined Susu ordering him to clear the dead orcs and fetch her cookies, and he did it all. He pictured her thanks, aiming for a permanent spot and a date with Suzu. She tries to thank him, but they ignore her. Susa snaps him back to reality, her proximity catching him off guard. They've got a mission. It's time to move. Suzu and Tatsuya's group boards the carriage and sets off. The boys' first cart ride is a bumpy mess, and Susu's hating every second. She calls his name and asks where Tatsuya's from, catching him off guard. Tatsuya asks why, and she admits she wants to know him better despite their temporary team. He can mention Japan or another world, so he claims he's from a remote village in the east. She nods, and an awkward silence fills the ride. Tatsuya's just relieved Susu doesn't care. She leans on him as he spots Suza dozing off. She looked defenseless asleep, so he'd wake her once they arrived. Tatsuya eventually drifts off mid-ride, resting his head on her shoulder. Tatsuya hears his name and blinks awake mid-drool. He realizes he's been lying on the girl as she announces they've arrived. Tatsuya yells an apology, but Susu says it's fine, he's not heavy. The group reaches a small village, but the fields are totally trashed. Tatsuya scans the damage. Was this a monster attack? Susu and Tatsuya reach a massive house. She knocks, an old man opens up, nods, and asks who they are. Suzu introduces herself as the B-rank Firecat and flashes her guild card. Stunned, the man inspects the ID and asks her to confirm that nickname. Tatsuya didn't know Suzu was a Firecat, but the old man rallies the village as the crowd starts calling her name. Tatsuya questions Susu's fame as the man opens the door and ushers the girl inside. He waves them inside. Tatsuya claims he's an adventurer, but the locals ignore his pitch, swarming them for news on the Firecat. Susu and Tatsuya face the headman at a table while locals crowd around. Tatsuya hears the request 3 silver wolves are raiding the village's food and blocking hunters. They hired the Adventurers Guild to wipe out the silver wolves. As the man explains the problem, Tatsuya gets an idea. The whole village is exhausted. They aren't sleeping at night. Susu got the message. Surveillance starts tonight. Tatsuya asks what the silver wolf looks like, but the girl is shocked he's totally clueless. He's silver-furred, triple the size of a normal wolf, and way smarter. Susu calls them dogs. Tatsuya knows he's safe as long as she's around. Outside, the headman tells Susu Lady Firecat will handle the rest. He starts to mention the villagers, but she cuts him off, shouting the boy's name. She asks Tatsuya for 20 kilos of orc meat, but he wants to know why. He'd already guessed, so he just played along. He waves his hand, spawning massive orc meat and leaving the residents baffled. Suzu can't finish all this food, so she tells them to take it. Locals mobbed Suzu, asking if it was true. Tatsuya thought he was invisible. This girl was clearly the village heroine. Determined to help the village, Tatsuya reaches out and visualizes a massive lump of salt. He awkwardly calls out and she turns. Standing by a massive salt pile, Tatsuya realizes he overdid it. Confused, the boy explains it's just rock salt and offers his massive stash to the village, leaving the headman absolutely stunned. The villagers cheered for the precious salt they hadn't tasted in years. Villagers dubbed him the Rock Salt Master. He screamed his introduction, realizing salt was a big deal here. As the crowd cheers for Lady Firecat and the Salt Master, Suzu asks the boy where he found the haul. Tatsuya stares awkwardly as the blushing girl calls him a total weirdo. Night down in the village, Suzu summons a fireball on her arm. Meat and salt shared, Suzu and Tatsuya scout the forest. Tatsuya tracks heavy footprints near the fields. From the bushes, Tatsuya asks if the all-night stakeout is hard, eyeing her with interest. Suzu agreed. The girl's insane focus made her a natural-born adventurer. Every pro needs support, so he whips up a meal to keep Suzu awake. Tatsuya told Suzu he was heading out for a bit, and she agreed. He calls for a cup and boiling water, glad he packed extra supplies in the box just in case. Tatsuya scans the coffee info on his window and starts cooking with a dash of sugar. He pours coffee, loving the soothing scent, but he's got one more thing to add. He hits the sweets aisle chocolate, sugar, and cream jackpot. Suzu watched the whole scene from the bushes. She catches a scent and looks up. Tatsuya shouts Suzu's name, and she's instantly all ears. Tatsuya offers her coffee and cookies to fuel her stakeout. She asks what coffee with cream is, and Tatsuya calls it the ultimate all-nighter fuel. She sips the hot drink and her eyes snap open. Cream stains Suzu's face as she trembles, letting out an ecstatic cry. She's surprised by the delicious, bitter coffee, and he's glad Sue likes it. Staring at the whipped cream, she suddenly claims everything's fine, leaving him baffled. Suzu grips her cup and speaks her mind, leaving Tatsuya mortified. The boy shouted her name. Suddenly, a sharp noise snapped their attention. The guys peek from the bushes and spot a wolf. Tatsuya whispers her name, but she silences him with a hiss she already knows. She signals their arrival, and 6 silver wolves instantly surround the guys. Watching from the bushes, the guys see even more silver wolves swarm in. They let out a deafening howl. The girl snaps toward Tetsuya, warning him to stay back. Suzu vowed to drop 3 in a blink and charged. She charges the wolves, and Tatsuya screams internally at her recklessness. Silver wolves lock onto the girl, growling and ready to strike. Suzu smashes her fist right into the silver wolf's muzzle. That massive strike sends the wolf flying. She thinks the first is done, but another wolf creeps up from behind. The silver wolf lunges, but she spots him and sidesteps. Wolf's confused Suzu strikes. She's ready! Another wolf lunges, jaws wide, she feels it. Suzu spins away, making the wolf miss its grab. She clocks him right in the face. The remaining wolves watched from the bushes, then retreated. The girl shouted the boy's name. Tatsuya peeks from the brush as Suzu claims 2 targets, leaving him the third and telling him to take his time. Tatsuya agreed and bolted the opposite way. Tatsuya scans for the silver wolf mid-run when a monster lunges from the bushes. He spins around in shock as the silver wolf's massive jaws lunge at him. Tatsuya dodges, shielding the confused boy from the silver wolf. Tatsuya braced himself, never expecting the wolf's ambush. The silver wolf growls and lunges Tatsuya's the target. Tatsuya triggers his skill, surrounding himself with a volley of rotten eggs. The boy quickly builds an egg barrier. The stench drops the wolf, leaving Tatsuya gagging as he plugs his nose. That's how he took down the wolf. Tatsuya covered his nose, thinking the silver wolf was finished, but something felt off. His eyes water from the mystery stench. It's so foul, it makes him gag. He snaps open his status window to check his skill levels. Tatsuya's stunned the indicator's Haven T budged, staying exactly as they were. Nose still shut. He spots a notification status correction active. 40 minutes left. No clue when it started. He's barely holding on. The stench is killing his focus. He needs to clean this place and ditch the wolf. Tatsuya hides the wolf as Suzu returns. She notices the kill and calls him weird. He agrees, still stunned. He actually won. Tatsuya calls her strange, noting her freakish strength is just as weird. Suzu stares him down in silence. She explains what being cranks means, and Tatsuya agrees. Tatsuya and Suzu report their success. The headman apologizes for the wolf count error, and the grateful villagers celebrate their restored peace. Next day, Tatsuya and Suzu leave the village, heading back to Frisha. Clutching a baton in the bushes, the goblin snarls as a heavy blow smashes his face. Suzu warns, "The area is crawling with goblins. They ditch the wagon to Frisia and walk for safety. Let's try to get it even tighter, Sue." Tatsuya notes her cat-like fighting, asking if she's part beast man. She denies it, but admits she gets that a lot. Susu admits she got in trouble for licking her sister's ears, but she won to stop. Tatsuya imagines Lin Bell screaming and realizes he'd love to watch. Tatsuya asks about her magic, but Suzu only masters fire now. Her nickname makes perfect sense. Suzu repeats the question, wondering about the magic he used in battle. Tatsuya admits he's magicless. He just pulls items from his box, leaving the girl deep in thought. Boosting his stats buffed the effect yesterday. Are rotten eggs magic? Susu yells for him to wait, then rushes over and grabs his arm, catching him off guard. Tatsuya turns beet red, asking why he's acting so strange. Susu spots something interesting and tells the boy to look. Strange creatures swarm the clearing nearby. Tatsuya has no idea what they are. He asks if it's a bird. She says it's a popo bird, basically a chicken. These ranked birds are powerful but fear water, and Suzu says they're delicious. She grips Tatsuya's arm, eyeing the birds hungrily. He asks if they are her favorite food, tells her to let go before his arm snaps, and confirms they. Tatsuya triggers his skill, drenching the birds in soy sauce. He grins, planning to rain soy sauce on the birds. The birds feel the rain and shriek in shock. Now they're furious. Tatsuya spots the birds closing in, but Susu takes charge, confident the rain has already weakened them. The girl and the angry birds charged head-on. Furious, they roared. Susu stops, rain-soaked as sauce pours down her legs. The girl stops and readies herself. Tatsuya stares in shock. He knows that stance. The bird lunges, and Susu counters with a massive punch. The girl punches the bird, triggering a massive shockwave. Suzu wipes out the po-po birds and dusts her hands. 6 is enough. Susu spins him, hyped to leave, as Tatsuya promises to cook for her once they back. Still drenched in sauce, she wants to leave but decides to stay late. Susu spots a pond in the woods and heads over to wash up. Light shimmered on the water as the boy sat on the shore, his mind on the girl bathing. Susu drops her gear and wades waist-deep, drenching her clothes and hair again. Tatsuya smiles at the beautiful sight until Suzu suddenly whips around. She shouts to snap him out of his daze, leaving him stammering in confusion. Susu blurred to the boy, slammed him down, and scanned the area. Tatsuya blushes, embarrassed. Susu says it's fine, it's just a goblin. The girl looks from the monster to Tatsuya, apologizes, and asks. Tatsuya blushes hard on the grass. mind racing about the girl on top until Suzu calls his name. Back in the city, loud bird song makes Suzu's ears twitch. She waves to her sister, announcing she's home. Tatsuya smiles, struck by her bright energy. Lin Bell smiles at her sister's return, greeting me and noting she's back earlier than expected. Lin Bell asks Suzu for a report, checking if she behaved. Suzu calls the guy a total weirdo but confirms the mission was a perfect success. Tatsuya pouts. Suzu still thinks he's a total weirdo. Lin Bell tosses the reward on the table, telling the girl to have Mr. Volga carve up the loot. Suzu hesitates and turns to her sister, who stares back in total confusion. She whispers in Lin Bell's ear. Lin Bell looks up, and Suzu nods. Lin Bell shouts in shock as Popo chickens emerge, 6 of them, Suzu confirms. Lin trembles, asking if Popo chicken is really for dinner. Tatsuya confirms it's for both of them. She cheered good job, instantly hooking the other girls. Moments later, they arrive at a new location. Wolf stares in shock at a table piled with massive Popo birds as Tatsuya and Suzu stand nearby. She asks him to pluck the birds, but he just complains she's been gone way too long. Blaming the chickens, he demands a wholesale deal for the guild, but Suzu refuses. She's got nothing to eat. The rejection crushes the man as Tatsuya watches in silence. He offers her 10 kilos each, promising a feast. Her ears perk up, she's hooked. She accepts Volga's deal, promising 10 kilos. Stunned, he asks if she's joking. Suzu and the man talk while Tatsuya realizes everyone here is obsessed with chickens. The guys headed home to the girls. Suzu changed into home clothes and sighed. She yawned, hand over mouth. She asks if the food's ready, but Tatsuya smiles and says not yet as he finishes the prep. He tells Asusa to finally get some rest, and she just mumbles a response. She stood up and moved to the opposite side of the table. She drops onto a nearby blanket and shuts her eyes. Suzu curled up and was out cold. Tatsuya spots Susa asleep on the floor and gently covers her with a blanket. She's exhausted. Tatsuya smiles, wishing he could watch her sleep forever. Back in the kitchen, Tatsuya resumes the chicken popo, dicing the meat and getting straight to work. He tosses meat into soy and ginger, adds seasonal extras, and lets it marinate deep. Next, roll the seasonal veggies and pickled meat in flour and breadcrumbs. Fry them at 180 degrees. Tatsuya hasn't touched a deep fryer in ages. He carefully plucks the fried meat from the sizzling oil. A delicious scent hits Suzu mid-nap, making her ears twitch. She stood up groggily and loudly swallowed a string of drool. 11 words. Try even shorter. She stood up groggily. Gulp. Tatsuya held the fried popo bird, deciding a wide bowl was the better choice. Suzu peeks around the corner, starving and staring. Tatsuya's shocked. She's already awake. Tatsuya checks on Suza, who claims she woke up tasting fried meat. Shocked, he asks if she's drooling. Suzu heads off to fetch her sister. The boy nods. It's time. Suzu heads out humming, Tatsuya watching her energetic exit. Back home, he gets down to business and throws a cloth over the table. The boy set the kettle and prepped a mountain of fresh bread. Tatsuya pushed back his chair, everything set. Now, he just had to wait for the girls. Dinner's ready. Waiting for the sisters, he realizes they finally feel like a real family. Suzu sings as the girls skip inside hand in hand. Lin Bell shouts, "They're back!" Shocking Tatsuya, Suzu just left. He tells the girls to wash up, and they agree. They sit. Lin Bell and Suzu stare the boy down as he declares everything is ready. Tatsuya grins, serving the girls a massive bowl of fried chicken and tempura. Lin Bell and Suzy freeze, eyeing the food. The boy tells them to eat up and offers a supplement. The girls stared at the fried meat, completely speechless. Worried the girls haven't touched their food, Tatsuya asks if something's wrong. Suzu says it's impossible, leaving the boy stunned. Her adventurer's intuition warns that one taste of this dish ruins all other food forever. Linbel trembles, calling the meat dangerously delicious, while Tatsuya awkwardly notes they didn't hold back. Tuzu snags a piece of fried chicken and eyes it closely. She digs in, eyes gleaming with hunger, completely absorbed in the meal. Lin Bell copied her sister, carefully snagging a piece of chicken with her chopsticks. She starts devouring his new dish. The girls chew in sync. Susu's tears panic the boy. Lin Bell slumps onto the table, and Tatsuya desperately asks what happened to them. Eyes shut, Susu admitted fried chicken was ruined forever. Lin Bell takes charge, choosing a life of fried chicken. Tatsuya's stuck as the girls' emotions boil over. The sisters call it the ultimate fried chicken, a golden, crispy crust, melt-in-your-mouth meat, and juice gushing from every single bite. Tatsuya stared at the empty bowl, stunned to even offer seconds. The girls cheer for what they want. Tatsuya finally found the way to their stomachs. Someone sprints, gasping for air. A man reports trouble to the guildmaster, who immediately asks for details. The messenger reports an orc army is marching on Phrygia, leaving the man in total shock. The guildmaster warns the orcs will level the city. Doom is coming. Suzu sat down, feeling it. Something strange was happening to her. She flips her story instantly. She knew the truth all along. She's moving effortlessly, but her strength is skyrocketing. She's rarely tired anymore, and it's all thanks to the boys' cooking. She's still exhausted, but scarfing down fried chicken is finally recharging her. Susu suspected a secret skill, but he never said a word. She cut her thoughts short, way too busy devouring that chicken. Tatsuya notices, asking if she's okay or if the chicken's burnt. Tuzu shrugs it off, hooked on the boy's delicious food, and asks what secret seasonings he's using. Tatsuya hesitates, stumped, until Lin Bell demands an answer. Tatsuya used his skills to craft custom spices, but fearing her reaction, he lied and called them ordinary bazaar goods. Susu muttered, eyeing the boy's painfully suspicious face. Next day, they head out. Susu calls the city crazy, and Tatsuya agrees the streets are packed. He spots a massive crowd swarming the guild. A sudden evacuation order sparks confusion. With the city emptying, everyone panics over their businesses. He shouted his mantra. Everything was in order. Guildmaster's orders, evacuate the city now. This isn't a drill move. Tatsuya reels at the city-wide evacuation order when a sudden voice calls him out. Susu suspects her sister knows the truth. She drags a stunned Tatsuya to the guild while the crowd behind them receives evacuation orders. Lin Bell spun around, shocked. Where do the guys go? She sighed, approaching Suzu and Tatsuya. Suzu asked her sister if something serious happened. Lin Bell bowed excitedly, admitting she only found out this morning. She warns them a massive orc army is marching on the city, leaving the guys stunned. Lin says the guildmaster has the details, but he's already calling an emergency meeting for the whole guild. The guys got it. The guildmaster gathers everyone for an urgent briefing. Listen close, he's only saying this once. Tatsuya and Suzu listen in, but Tatsuya eyes the mysterious figures behind the guildmasters. A day's trek north, 100 orcs hit a small village 10 days ago. The guildmaster calls the capital for backup as the situation turns critical. The guild answered the call fast, and they're finally here. Meet the strongest A-class team, the Immortal Birds. Tatsuya knew at a glance these guys outclassed everyone. The guildmaster explains things went south at the site. He looks at Care, who gets the message instantly. Meet Karu of the Immortal Bird Squad. They hit the settlement the second their guildmaster sent word. They were in position, but couldn't pull it off. The crowd demands answers. Kairu stays silent. He said the message meant 100 orcs, but over 300 showed up. The news left the residents reeling. Pyru notes they aren't normal, despite their familiar features. They couldn't handle it alone, so they hit the city to report it. Tatsuya and Susu froze in shock. After the immortal birds reported in, the guildmaster sent his elite soldiers to back them up. By the time they returned with backup, 500 orcs were already waiting. The orcs are marching on the city, forcing an emergency lockdown. They'll arrive in just 6 to 7 hours. The guildmaster warns the city will be rubble by sunset. The orcs are moving in. Tatsuya and Suzu are stunned. The city's doomed, and the people are paralyzed by this massive orc invasion they've never seen before. He says everyone's evacuating to the western village. Capital reinforcements are coming, but they're too slow. The orc army hits the gates first. He revealed his plan. Frank C's guild members are the bait. They'll distract the enemy and lure them to the meeting point. Rank B veterans wait ahead. Both squads will blitz the orcs trapped in the ring at once, catching them completely off guard. The guildmaster admits they can win, but they'll thin the enemy ranks and stall until backup arrives. They listen to the plan, but there's a catch. The guild is full of rookies. They want to let orcs destroy their homes. The plan needs adventurers, so he tells everyone ready to fight to raise their hands. Panic spreads. One guy refuses to move, terrified. A mission this big needs A ranks, but they're stuck with C and D tiers. A man nearby warns that few in the city dare to face the orcs. Tatsui once struggled against 3 orcs, now he faces 500. They'd crush him instantly. A hand shoots up. Susu declares she's ready, stunning the boy who called her name. Phrygia is Susie's home, and as a B-rank adventurer, she won't let orcs wreck it. She vowed she'd fight for him. The adventurers stared at her, baffled. They all stepped up. This city is their responsibility, and they'll fight to the death to keep the enemy out. The guildmaster stared in shock as Susu and the others actually stepped up. Tatsuya calls her name, joining the battle. She stares back, dead serious. She refuses, leaving the boy completely stunned. She calls Tatsuya an E-rank weakling, and it stings. Fist clenched, he vows to protect the girl, but he wants a reward once the fight ends. He made his pitch, hoping she'd finally join his team. Dead silence, all eyes snapped to the boy, who stood there clueless. Tetsuya realized this sounded way too much like a marriage proposal. Susu blushes but agrees, warning the boy to stay out of danger. Tatsuya agreed with her. Suddenly, the guildmaster calls the boy over. Tatsuya approaches, but the man calls him too green and says he should have been given a safer mission. The man was certain the boy's special power would help him survive the orcs. The guildmaster warned the boy Dante be stupid. He puts a hand on Tatsuya's shoulder. Suzu watches silently. Time's up. Carts are waiting at the north gate for every fighter ready for battle. Tatsuya and Suzu head out. Yesterday's fried chicken dinner already a distant dream. Noticing her silence, Tatsuya asks what's wrong. His words prove he's always on the lookout. He asks what happened, offering a cookie, but Susu stays silent. She suddenly approached him, just as he realized she was hungry. Suzu lunges at a shocked Tatsuya and pulls him into a hug, leaving him frozen.